I've been caring for my younger brother Justin, 33 Meves, since he was 10. Our parents died when I was only 16, so I had to step up and take care of the house while he was still young. I did everything for him, and he meant everything to me. Perhaps I spoiled him a little too much. Due to my responsibilities, I did not date much, until I met Melissa, 35F, approximately 10 years ago. We dated for 2 years, and it was wonderful. My brother also liked her. One day, I overheard Melissa talking with her friend. She was talking about me, saying she loves how I care for her in every way, but she thought I was average in bed. Her friend asked if she was going to tell me about it or how happy she was. She told her that her future was with my brother, and then she spilled the tea. She'd been having an affair with Justin for the previous 8 months. She justified it by claiming Justin is better in bed than I am. It was extremely painful to hear. I pretended I hadn't heard anything and went inside the house. So I confronted Justin about the whole situation. I know how to get him to speak. After he kept denying it, I pressed him hard on the issue. Finally, he couldn't take it anymore and admitted the truth. He remained quiet. To avoid hurting me, he is in love with Melissa and wishes to marry her, but she refuses to leave me alone. I was absolutely furious. I wanted to punch him in the face, but instead, I simply told him he was dead to me and walked away. I also evicted Melissa, who ended up living with my brother and his roommates. My brother kept banging on my door nonstop. It got so bad that I had to move in with a friend and make sure my brothers didn't find out where I was. His calls and emails were all the same. He was sorry, he never wanted to hurt me, and he was going to break up. I closed the bank account I had set up for him as a trust fund, which he could access when he turned 25. He wasn't my brother anymore. I went into a deep depression. My eating and sleeping habits went completely haywire. Every night, I'd have nightmares about my brother and ex laughing at me and saying I was terrible in bed. They made it appear that if I had been better, she would not have abandoned me. Things became so bad that I found myself standing in front of a train track, feeling as if I could not take it anymore. Fortunately, a few friends came to my rescue. They were my lifeline during that difficult time, and I remained with them for a full year. I decided to seek help and went to therapy while also attending group sessions. Closeness became a significant anxiety trigger for me, so I avoided dating for a long time. But my friend encouraged me to give it a shot, and I did, with a one-night stand that didn't work out well for either of us. Even now, I'm still in therapy, but I'm pleased to report that other aspects of my life are improving. I began focusing on developing new relationships with various people. I used the opportunity to travel and try new hobbies. Most importantly, I learned to live for myself and prioritize my well-being. I've been with someone for 3 years, and we are engaged and expecting a child together. Wendy, 32, is a very sweet person. She is fully aware of my insecurities and the problems my brother has caused me. She has been very mature and patient with me, and it is because of her that I have been able to trust someone enough to be in a relationship. A couple of days ago, I received a wedding invitation in the mail, and guess who it was from? Yes, my brother. He's been keeping an eye on me from a distance and has invited me to his wedding alongside Melissa. Seeing their names together doesn't hurt as much anymore, but I'm kind of numb about the whole thing. If this had occurred 8 years ago, I would have had a total breakdown. I still have this pain inside that prevents me from being happy for my brother on his big day. My fiancé suggests that we skip the wedding and instead delete the invitation. You know what? I simply want to see them suffer. I have no love or blessings left for my brother. When our parents died, they entrusted me with his care, promising that we'd look out for each other as we grew older. But he threw it away. It hurts more than Melissa's cheating. My own brother betrayed me. Update. Hello, everyone. I was thinking about giving you all an update soon. You know how much Reddit users enjoy updates, but I had to postpone it because I have a baby girl now. When I wrote the original post, my fiancé, now wife, was already 8.5 months pregnant, and we had an early delivery. Our baby girl, Emily, is the cutest little thing and brings us so much joy. She's so tiny and adorable, and her eyes are just like mine. It's incredible how we created something so valuable. I can't get enough of holding her, and my wife sometimes gets annoyed because she thinks I'm spoiling her too much. Oh, and by the way, my fiancé and I married quickly in a simple court marriage. We did not want a large wedding, and we're all doing fine. Some of you wondered how my brother knew my address. He actually didn't. He only knew my personal and work email addresses. He probably figured out which company I work for, then found my email address and sent me an invitation. A few days ago, I got another email from my brother. I forgot to block him, so it went through. I rarely check my work email because most of it is forwarded through Slack. My brother wrote a heartfelt email. He admitted that he knows I won't attend his wedding, but he still wanted me there on his special day. He apologized and admitted that he would never forgive himself for his actions. He knew he shouldn't have slept with Melissa, but he did so anyway. Growing up, he was always envious of me. He envied the fact that I was his more capable brother, constantly looking after him like a babysitter. When Melissa approached him, he felt like he was finally important. Deep down, he knew he was wrong and wanted to stop. When I told him he was dead, he panicked. He tried desperately to contact me, but my friends refused to reveal my location. They stood by my side and refused to attend his wedding to Melissa because they saw me as a big brother figure. Even his own friends reacted harshly to what he had done. His life hit rock bottom when he learned from one of his friends that I had attempted suicide 2 years ago. Melissa and my brother made up at the time. She was a single mother who felt bad about her past actions after her child's father cheated on her and left. She wanted to apologize to me, and that is how they rekindled their relationship. However, things did not go as planned, and my brother ended up canceling the wedding and breaking up with Melissa again. Despite the fact that I have disowned him, he still wants me to attend his wedding. He is willing to go to any length to achieve reconciliation, even if it takes a lifetime. That's pretty much it. There was a lot of emotional content in the email, but I chose to ignore and delete it. My therapist told me that forgiveness should come naturally from the subconscious when we truly believe we can forgive someone. It should only be an option if the person demonstrates remorse through actions, not just words. I honestly don't want to forgive him. I know it may appear petty and cruel, but I am content with my life as it is. Bringing him into my life will only cause stress. My wife advised me to let it go and not hold him accountable at all. I'm afraid that if I forgive him, he'll go back to Melissa. He needs to figure out his own life and become an adult. I've coddled him enough. It's time for him to accept responsibility. People keep asking me about my brother's life, so I'd like to clear things up. Honestly, I have no idea what he has been up to. I purposefully moved away from him and even changed jobs to create distance. He must have discovered my workplace from which he sent the email. For a decade, I pretended he didn't exist, and therapy helped me deal with it. I treated him like he was already dead. I'm not sure what happened between him and Melissa, but based on his email, it appears that they dated for a few years before breaking up. His friends did not approve of him being with her, so the wedding was canceled because of Melissa. My brother mentioned that he doesn't want to marry unless I'm present to support him, but it doesn't have to be Melissa. Anyone could fill that position. I'm not sure why Melissa returned, but she must have assumed I'd simply accept her like a doormat. She should know me better than that. When it comes to holding a grudge, I admit I am quite stubborn. I had no idea the impact my actions would have on my brother's friends. They were genuinely nice people who used to hang out with us, even when they were younger. They treated me like a brother. After I cut contact with my brother, 2 of his friends, who had never had a positive male role model, apologized to me. But I have not kept in touch with them. If he truly regretted his actions, he would not have chosen to marry Melissa, the woman who, along with my brother, played a major role in ruining my life. Did he really expect me to forget all the pain and trauma they caused me? Forgiveness does not set you free. Instead, it creates another trap. Over the years, I've learned that forgiveness is a tool used by cowards to avoid the consequences of their actions. They believe that by receiving forgiveness, their guilt will be magically removed. But true forgiveness can never be forced. It must be earned. And he's done nothing to deserve it. Second story. Let me give you some context first. We've been together for 6 years, and our lives are deeply intertwined. Prior to meeting my future wife, I had only one other serious girlfriend. We dated for 3 years before marrying, and it has been about 2.5 years since our wedding. We've had our ups and downs, fights, and romantic moments, as does any long-term couple. Things have gotten a little tougher recently, but life is stressful because of money. We had to move in together. Her mother, and surprisingly, it works for all of us. She has recently spent a lot of time with a mutual friend. She sees him quite frequently, especially when I'm busy at work. They do normal things like watch TV, drink, go to the beach, and so on. The visits have become much more frequent in recent months, with at least one per week, if not more. My friend has recently avoided me and refuses to hang out when I am present. This made me more ruthless with each meeting. Last Friday, after a separate argument with my intoxicated wife, I felt compelled to check her phone. This was unusual for me, as I usually respect her privacy, but my suspicions got the better of me, and I succumbed to the temptation. I checked her text messages with the guy in question. What I discovered devastated me. The messages were explicit and detailed, dating back at least 2 months. It made me feel sick to my stomach, and I became dizzy and pale while reading it. The messages were about his tool in her mouth, and she mentioned how he makes her insatiable. I was shocked. It was difficult to comprehend. My thoughts were disorganized. In just a few minutes, I was overwhelmed with emotions I had never felt before. Disgust, betrayal, anger, regret, fear, and profound sadness. How could my dear wife do this to me? I couldn't get rid of the image of her and that jerk, who had been my friend long before I met her. How could he betray our friendship like that? In that moment, I considered going to extreme measures. I was completely shattered, crying uncontrollably beside my drunken wife. I cannot forgive her. I decided then and there that this was unforgivable. I need to leave and be on my own. The problem is that I don't have any money saved up and don't own a car. I barely own anything. I decided not to confront her about it just yet, so that I could prepare for living alone. With the help of a few supportive friends, I was able to find a new place to live. I also have another friend who is selling their car. I'm getting my ducks in order to drop a bomb on this cheating witch and escape. As of now, my plan is to pack and move all of my belongings while she is at work tomorrow. I'll need to pick her up from work later in the day. When she gets home and sees all of my belongings gone, the final argument will begin. I'm not sure what I'll say, but I have a lot to say, and the words will flow naturally. The issue here is that I'll need to use her car to move my belongings on Friday. So I'm thinking about a new plan. I'll write a brief but impactful note, more than just "I know," but not too long. I'll leave it along with the car and keys at her workplace, and a friend will pick me up so we can disappear without a trace. This way, she'll read the note, be devastated, and return home to find all of my belongings missing and no sign of me. I am already preparing to hire a lawyer. I believe I have enough evidence, and I am familiar with Maryland divorce laws to cover all bases. Fortunately, we do not have significant assets, communal property, or children, which I am grateful for. Update. Friday went about as well as it could have in this situation. I followed the advice I received on Reddit and changed my plans before the day began. There was no final argument. Despite receiving devastating news, our final week together went surprisingly well. We went to the beach early in the week and were incredibly close. On Wednesday night, we had a fancy dinner that she paid for, and then we went to the movies, which was her treat. Friday morning, she appeared to be very happy, and we were extremely close. I dropped her off at work, gave her a heartfelt hug, and said goodbye. Little did I know it would be our final conversation. I went right away to get the keys to my new place and some packing supplies. I hurried home to begin packing my belongings. My brother-in-law was home at the time, so I approached him and told him the news. He was furious with his sister, but completely supportive of me. We had a heartfelt conversation, and he was there for me while I packed. He was an amazing brother, and I made it a point to express my gratitude for his support. We cried and talked for a while, and he tried everything he could to help me. Unfortunately, the majority of my belongings only fit into one carload in a small hatchback. After unloading the first trip, it was almost time for my truck driver friend to finish his work. I returned to my old place, and my mother-in-law was now present. We had a lengthy conversation, and she offered her support. While she did not take sides, she understood my decision and was very supportive. She assured me that I could always count on her for assistance and that I was still considered family by her. We spoke and cried together for a while. Although she hoped we could work things out, I explained that I would never forgive her daughter, and she accepted my decision. I left my wife's car at home and asked my mother-in-law to pick her up from work. My wife was going crazy all day because I ignored her. They attempted to contact me several times. I called and texted countless times, but I ignored them all. She began calling my friends and family, concerned that something had happened to me. When they approached me, I asked them to inform her that they, too, were unable to contact me. I had intended to leave a note at home, but I became overwhelmed with emotion while speaking with her mother-in-law and completely forgot. I might be perceived as weak, but I eventually sent her a message stating that I am not going to discuss this right now and will continue to ignore your texts. There's nothing you can say to me right now. I hope you're happy with him and that it was worthwhile. I can never forgive you. Of course, she then sent me several messages begging and apologizing. She admitted what she did, stated that she felt like the worst person in the world, and claimed that I am the love of her life and the only one she desires. She even had the nerve to mention that we broke up almost 2 weeks ago, as if that would make me feel better. I have not replied to anything else she has said. Now, let's get to my new place. Unpacking and settling in has greatly boosted my morale. I'm upbeat, optimistic, and full of energy. I'm moving in with my oldest friend, who has been there for me since I moved to Maryland over 10 years ago. Spending time with close friends, having good conversations, and enjoying nature are all helping me heal. With this second chance at independence, I intend to step back, reflect on my life, and work on bettering myself and finding happiness within. I want to lose some weight, work on improving my musical abilities. I play guitar, bass, drums, and dabble in electronic music. And, most importantly, get out there and experience the world and the people in it. My goals include traveling, meeting new people, and exploring new places. Despite the terrible situation I'm in, I feel energized and renewed. I have not shared an update because I do not believe it will be as exciting as the divorce story. Life is unpredictable and does not always go as planned, but overall, things are going well. I'm enjoying my independence, and I even have a new female friend. I'm still waiting a year after separation to finalize the divorce. Third story. Just so you know, we were married for 16 years and together for 20. We have 4 children, ages 24, 17, 10, and 7. I found out about her affair with a coworker after hacking her phone and reading their texts. The divorce was finalized in December. In December, I learned she was seeing her affair partner shortly after moving out via a text intended for him but sent to me. Overall, our divorce has been very amicable. I got to keep my house, car, Harley, and business. She only requested child support. Nothing more. We're still good friends, but she lies a lot, so I'm cautious about what she says. We're doing an excellent job co-parenting our children. My ex decided to work extra hours today and asked if I could care for our 7 and 10-year-old boys. I had no problem with it, but as soon as we got in the car, my 7-year-old began bombarding me with questions about Mom's new friend. Apparently, the AP and his 12-year-old son stayed at my ex's house last Friday. The AP apparently slept in bed with my ex. The AP's 12-year-old son had a sleepover with my 7-year-old and informed him, "My dad and your mom are boyfriend and girlfriend," which confused my son. He was also told that the AP's father might become his new father, and my son questioned why this guy was sleeping in bed with his mother. On Saturday, they went shopping at the Trampoline Green Park, ate lunch, and behaved like a family. All of this took me completely by surprise. And it's clear that my ex never discussed it with our son. This was the first time my son had met these people. I don't think it's fair that I have to clean up after my ex, and I think it's completely inappropriate for the AP to sleep in her bed. We are not yet divorced, and neither is the AP. How should I handle the situation? My son is perplexed, and I don't believe I should have to compensate for his mother's bad decisions. Several months later, my ex called, crying, and asked if I could take the kids overnight again. I was concerned and asked what was wrong. She replied that karma had hit me hard. She explained that something seemed off, so she decided to check her affair partner's phone while he was showering. To her surprise, she discovered a long string of Facebook messages containing texting, pictures, and explicit conversations, in the same way that I had discovered her affair. My ex is 39, her affair partner is 52, and his new affair partner is married and only 28. Don't get me wrong, part of me wanted to celebrate that it had finally happened to her. I had warned her from the beginning that the guy was a predator. However, as I listened to her, I realized she was madly in love with him, and part of me felt sorry for her. Interestingly, she apologized to me more that day than she had ever done for cheating on me. She said things like, "I am so sorry I put you through this. I had no idea how much it hurt you." I took her apologies with a grain of salt because I had moved on and met someone else. We've been happily dating for the past 6 months. The main point of this post is to show everyone that even in the most difficult divorce situations, things can work out. Karma will occasionally intervene and exact a small retribution. 2 years later, there was nearly another cheating incident with the affair partner, but my ex caught him before they could get together. She has full control of his phone, monitoring all of his apps and constantly checking his messages. This sounds like a living nightmare to me. My ex and the AP are still kind of together, but it's a very strange on-off relationship. Let me explain. She claims they are not together, and both of their Facebook pages state that they are single. However, she continues to wear his engagement ring on occasion, just as she refused to return my $12,000 wedding ring. Ha! She occasionally stays at his apartment, but she claims they are just friends. Yes, right. Who stays over at their ex's house, sleeps in their bed, and calls it just hanging out? It's amusing that she thinks everyone is gullible enough to believe that. Meanwhile, she had to change jobs because she was very close with the plant manager. They were always talking, going to lunch together, riding Harleys, going for walks during breaks, and so on. Rumors spread quickly and things became chaotic at work. Her work friend is married with 3 children, but he still pays her visits and takes her on Harley rides to the movies or whatever they do. Apparently, our teenage son saw them kissing in the driveway and didn't know who the guy was, so he called me. I played dumb and told him to ask his mother who that was. He got the impression she and the AP were still together because the guy came over the day before to grill and mow her lawn. Then there's another new guy on the block. She won't say how or where she met him, but they went on 2 dates, and she didn't seem particularly interested in him. They discovered they knew each other from a previous job, and he kept mentioning how much he wanted to see all of her old friends and coworkers. The other day, we were talking about retirement. I told her about my intention to semi-retire in 6 years, when child support ends and all of the children turn 18. My plan is to relocate to a warmer climate down south. She began with a sob story, stating that she had to raise all of our children while I built the business, and that she will most likely have to work until she dies, never retiring. But this is far from the truth. I dedicated as much time, housework, and effort to our family as she did. There were even a few years when I outperformed her while she was out partying with her friends 4 or 5 nights per week. I responded to her by saying, "You made your choice to leave me and go with your AP." Her expression was amazing. I used to be her retirement plan, but now she has only $14,000 in her 401k and is in her early 40s. Even if she stays with her AP or returns to him, he does not have much money set aside for retirement or any significant savings at all. So there is some karma in that. Here's some advice for those who are or will be going through a divorce. My life was completely shattered from October 2018 to December 2019 when our divorce was finalized. But a few years later, I've never been happier. I plan to retire early and spend some time at the beach. My relationship with my children is stronger and better than ever. When things appear dark and bleak, be a good person. Do not lie or deceive. Avoid being malicious and do not involve your children in any conflicts with your ex-partner. Keep your head up and move forward. The further you move away from the darkness, the better your life will be. Fourth story. I, 40F, have been silently observing on Reddit for a long time, never sharing my experience. It's a typical Reddit tale, but I feel compelled to share it with the world. Thank goodness for Reddit. So let me tell you about my sister, 43F, whom I will refer to as Ursula, just like the villain. She has always made my life a living hell. Ursula is extremely manipulative and narcissistic. She acts nice to me when she needs something, but then completely ignores me. I used to think we were the closest sisters. We didn't have the typical fights that make sisters jealous of one another. Looking back as an adult, I believe she hated me. She used to give me backhanded compliments like, "Your face looks better with your glasses," or "You have a boy crush? I thought you were a lesbian." I was a tomboy. I always aspired to be like her and be everyone's favorite, believing she was helpful and kind. Or at least, that's what she wanted us to think. She always made me feel insecure about my appearance and who I dated. When I was 17, I had my first boyfriend, and she convinced me that he wasn't right for me. So I ended up breaking up with him. My mistake. Later, I moved out of state to attend college and study. While she attended business school, she continued to give me those backhanded compliments whenever I returned home for holidays. At the age of 21, I began dating Jordan, my ex-husband. Fortunately, my sister was preoccupied with something else at the time, so she did not notice Jordan. He was also not her type. We dated for 3 years and married for 4 years. My life was going well until my sister announced she was pregnant. We all assumed it came from her then-boyfriend, Remy. One day I paid a visit to my sister and brought her some pregnancy food. She granted me permission to enter her home and handed me a key. As I went inside without knocking, I was surprised to see Jordan's shoes outside. Feeling suspicious, I entered her bedroom, where they were naked and close together. To put it simply, I divorced Jordan. I was in a great deal of pain and devastated. My parents were supportive, but they seemed to be more focused on my sister and Jordan. Yes, she was pregnant with his child, and seeing them together hurt. Neither one of them ever apologized. They simply shrugged it off as happens. To get away from the situation, I relocated to England 8 years ago after accepting a job offer there. It was a fresh start for me. There I met Peter, a single father, and we fell in love, married, and have a son together. I do not have any contact with my sister. I rarely speak to my father, but he keeps me informed. I recently found out that Jordan and Ursula married and had 2 more children. That was basically all I knew about them until now. Jordan cheated on Ursula, and the two are having a heated argument. To make matters worse, 2 of their children are not even Jordan's, indicating that Ursula has not been faithful at all. My father said it's a complete mess and they'll probably end up divorcing, but she wants alimony. I hung up the phone and poured myself a drink. I'm glad I'm thousands of miles away from all of that drama. My mother also called, saying she needed me, but I am not sure if I want to go. As much as I enjoy watching Ursula's life fall apart, I'm not sure I want to be involved in all of the drama. Edit, because people seem to be curious and want all of the details, I decided to include more information. My sister cheated on Remy, who was a very nice guy. He was devastated to learn that my sister's child was not his, but rather Jordan's. Remy went on to find a wonderful wife. I still follow him on Instagram. My parents were furious with Ursula, but she's a manipulative person who convinced everyone that Jordan forced her to have intimacy with him, threatening to divorce me if she didn't comply. She made it appear as though she was saving my marriage by sleeping with my husband. How typical. I married in London, but my relatives couldn't attend due to the long distance. Fortunately, my father was able to attend. Unfortunately, my mother could not attend because she was recovering from back surgery at the time. Some people mistakenly believed that my parents were bad, but this is not true. They were just regular humans. I understand they were in a difficult situation, having to choose between 2 children. Besides, they were becoming grandparents and couldn't abandon my sister, no matter how difficult she is. They did not allow her to get away with everything. They supported me through my divorce and paid for my post-divorce therapy. Ursula was pregnant, so they couldn't completely cut her off. My parents have a strained relationship with her and Jordan, but they haven't disowned them because of the children. My father refused to walk Ursula down the aisle at her wedding, which I did not attend. However, after moving to England, I stayed in touch with my parents, who were supportive of me. My mother was unable to attend my wedding due to back surgery. She is in her 60s and has a variety of health issues. My father attended the wedding. Later, my mother was able to visit me after my honeymoon, but she was devastated that she was unable to meet my son due to flight issues. I'm heading back to my hometown for some business, and I would have gone regardless of the phone call. It's been 4 years since I last saw my parents, and I miss them. Despite my feelings towards my sister, I do not despise my parents. I might have given the wrong impression of my parents. They are not bad people, and they love both of their children. I don't think they sidelined me. My father and Ursula's relationship remains strained, but he's only involved because of the grandchildren. My mother is the same way. I never asked them to cut off Ursula because she needed them, but I stayed away from her. They still dislike Jordan and Ursula. My father refused to walk her down the aisle when she married Jordan. I distanced myself for personal reasons. I got a job in the UK and traveled around Europe, which I had always wanted to do. Now I'm settled into my life with my 4-year-old son, husband, and stepdaughter. My parents still keep in touch with me. Unfortunately, I haven't seen my mother in 3 years due to COVID and other issues. Now I might have to visit my hometown for a project, and I miss them. I do not blame my mother for not attending my wedding. She had surgery and found it difficult to move. She was present. We spoke on video chat throughout the ceremony. It has been 4 years since we last saw each other, and I believe she misses me greatly. I miss her too. So I've arrived in my home country with my husband and son. My parents picked us up from the airport, and it was great to see them after so many years. They appeared tired and pale, as if they hadn't eaten or slept properly in a long time. My mother was especially pleased to meet my husband and son, as she had never met them before. I asked them not to inform my sister that I was here because I would only be staying for a few weeks before leaving. Right now, I am staying with my aunt. My mother told me that my sister lives with her and her children. I learned some information about my sister. She was having an affair with her former married boss, and the 2 children she has are actually his. The boss's wife found out and confronted my sister, sparking a physical altercation. Interestingly, the boss's father-in-law owns the company where he works. Her boss will undoubtedly lose his job as a result of the affair. My sister had already changed jobs before all of this drama occurred, but she continued the affair. Because of the circumstances, she may lose her new job as well, as the company's owner is friends with the boss's wife. It's as if she's put herself in a difficult situation that she can't get out of. Jordan has also quit his job because he refuses to pay my sister alimony and child support for the children who are not his. He intends to sue the boss for child support for those kids. My mother claims that Jordan's mental health is suffering as a result of their constant fighting. On top of that, he was having an affair with his co-worker. My mother wants to kick out my sister, but she can't because of her children. She may hate my sister, but she does not want to punish the innocent children. I can't help but feel sorry for those kids too. They do not deserve to be caught up in such a chaotic situation with their parents. I want to be clear. My parents are not bad people. They've been very supportive of me. The only reason they continue to communicate with my sister, Ursula, is because of her children. I feel sorry for my mother because she doesn't have much time left, and given her illness, she may not have the strength to deal with all of this drama. I know my sister will find out I am here, but I am prepared for that. I don't want to see her, because I know she will drag me into her mess. But I'm going to enjoy the few weeks I have with my husband and child.